My little sister is hot, but she doesn't shower often enough. Story. The other day, I, 20F, was having a conversation with my little sister, 17F. The conversation went towards discussing pretty privilege, and she went on a rant talking about how unfair it is, and that if she was prettier, she would be popular and have a boyfriend. Now this upset me because my little sister is super lucky. She is naturally blonde, has a beautiful face, is very thin, even though she eats a lot of junk food, and her melons and peach are huge. However, she's a complete slob. She dresses in very baggy clothing, doesn't wear makeup, her hair is a mess, and she often smells bad because she doesn't shower much. She also has acne, which I know isn't her fault, but I used to have bad acne and I found out how to get rid of it. And when I suggested this to her, she just ignored it. I told her that the reason she isn't pretty is because she doesn't put any effort into her appearance. She got mad at me and stormed off. I know that nobody should be obligated to look nice, but it just upset me to hear her complain about her appearance, considering her circumstances. However, I'm starting to think what I said was a bit insensitive. Am I the a-hole? Response 1, NTA. Your phrasing could have been just a tad gentler, but you really didn't do anything wrong here. But instead of the reason you're not pretty, you could have said the reason people don't realize you're pretty. See how the phrasing changes the tone of how it might be received? Reply 1. NTA, OPE, I think you should have been harsher. Sometimes people don't realize how bad they've become about their hygiene, and you need to be specific. I think she may have had a real wake-up call if you told her she stinks, that she looks like a bum, and laid out all the other things you think. If she has the guts to complain about not having a boyfriend, but won't even take the time to clean herself, then she's either oblivious or deeply depressed and she needs a wake-up call. Reply 2. Normally, I'd agree, but this is a 17-year-old girl. A terrible age for lots of us as it pertains to self-image/self-loathing. I think the message isn't wrong, but brutal honesty like that will probably just make her hate herself with little to no result. Reply 3. What is brutal is having to tell a 17-year-old that her hygiene is lacking. How did she get to 17 without that being a problem? Reply 4. Seriously, when I was 17, I did everything possible to get rid of cystic acne. I barely wore makeup because it makes it worse. I ate really healthy. I was in 2 practices a day for sports. I wore sweats to school because I was always at practice and running to class after that, and then back to practice after school. It's such a formative age for children, and they're under such pressure. A massive pimple can ruin a week for a child. Reply 5. Sometimes people don't realize how bad they've become about their hygiene, and you need to be specific. I think she may have had a real wake-up call if you told her she stinks, that she looks like a bum, and laid out all the other things you think. And then you're telling a teen with depression she looks like a bum. Response 2. I'm gonna go not the a-hole just because not showering is actually horrible. Baggy clothes and no makeup is fine, honestly, but the messy hair and smell is, yeah. She's mad now, but Jesus, someone's gotta tell her to wash. Reply 1. Baggy clothes and no makeup is of course fine, but you can't whine about pretty privilege if you're not putting effort into your appearance. Reply 2. Can't complain about an unfair treatment of people on the basis of something that is both irrelevant and mostly outside of someone's control? Weird take, buddy. Reply 3. Baggy clothes, no makeup, poorly groomed, and not showering are absolutely in people's control, laugh out loud. But TBF, what makes me think her whining is her big complaint being she'd be more popular and have a boyfriend when she doesn't even put the bare minimum into her appearance. Like if she was complaining about pretty privilege affecting her job or people being mean to her because she's unattractive. Even though she puts no effort in her appearance, that's still a fair complaint, as you shouldn't have to be attractive for your job or for people to be nice to you. Even if the reason you're not attractive is largely in your control, but complaining you'd be more popular and have a boyfriend if you were pretty, and that it's unfair when you put negative effort into your appearance is whining and makes me want to play the world's tiniest violin. Like a guy complaining women only want guys with six-packs and it's not fair despite never going to the gym even though they having the capability to do so. Reply 4. I mean, you sort of can. It sucks that people, mainly women, have to be constantly checking their appearance and keeping up with hygiene, which usually just means way too much skincare, shaving legs plus face, and doing their hair every day. People can choose to put whatever amount of effort they deem necessary into their appearance, and that shouldn't have anything to do with how seriously people take you or how popular you are. Reply 5. When life F's you over and makes you feel unwanted and unattractive, why shower? If you feel you're already repulsive, why not go all the way? The only reason I shower is to stop my back from getting sticky. Otherwise, I'd make others smell me from miles away. Response 3. I might be going against the grain here, but you're the a-hole. First of all, you sound jealous of her, and it seems like you took this as an opportunity to put her down when she was already feeling down. Secondly, this is not the way to help your sister understand how to improve her hygiene. It is insensitive and doesn't help her improve. You simply shamed her. Lastly, by your description of your sister and how she takes care of herself, I would be asking her what is wrong. Maybe she is this way because she doesn't want a ton of male attention on her because it makes her feel uncomfortable. I've known plenty of beautiful women who do things to dress down because they don't just want to be seen as sex objects, they want to be seen as whole people. Maybe she doesn't like being sexualized and her poor hygiene is a defense mechanism. Regardless, you should ask her about it instead of shame her. Reply 1. I fully agree with this and thought that, all while reading this horrid post. She didn't need to be put down but built up. Who does this to a teenager when self-confidence is clearly the issue here? Looks aren't everything. OP sounds jealous and childish. Reply 2. And lack of hygiene care can be indicative of depression. We don't have the information to know if there are other signs of that, but it should be mentioned. Reply 3. Exactly what I was thinking. Instead of shaming her sister, maybe she should be asking if something is going on at school or if something else has been affecting her mental health. Her sister reminds me of myself at that age. Even though I'm pretty by conventional standards, I was bullied a lot for my appearance as a teen, and it deeply affected my mental health and how I took care of myself. Reply 4. I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels the same way. I can just imagine my sister saying that. I would cry. When my sister isn't taking care of herself, I'll try to take care of her too. Not because I'm her mother or sister, it's because I love her. Reply 5. Her sister was wanting to complain about pretty privilege and how if she was prettier, she'd have a boyfriend and be popular. Frankly, I didn't read anywhere that OP was jealous of her sister. She was describing her sister for the readers and told her sister the hard truth, which was dress nicer and go take a shower. Don't complain about not being pretty if you won't even take care of yourself. Response 4. Your sister sounds like she has low self-esteem and is depressed. Not dressing well is one thing. Not showering is a whole other issue. Not taking care of her acne is another sign of feeling powerless. If this young person was fully grown, you'd be NTA, but honestly, you sound like your adolescence was more supported than hers. I don't know about others, but kids have a whole lot more than procrastinate to be TA, so everyone sucks here. Reply 1. Something is wrong with the sister. Whether it is depression or something else, hard to tell from the post. OP should ask why sister is not showering/taking care of herself. Reply 2, yeah, has anything traumatic happened to her? There's reasons people make themselves unhygienic/unattractive that isn't only tied to laziness. Response 5, I used to work with teenage/youth survivors of sexual assault or sexual abuse, and many had poor hygiene and wore unflattering clothes. This is a common characteristic for abuse victims who are trying to detract attention either consciously or subconsciously as a way to feel safer. When I was younger, I was very self-conscious of how I was leered at in public, so I also wore baggy clothes that didn't fit right so people wouldn't look at me. Poor hygiene/bad clothes can also be a sign of depression or other types of mental illness. You're not an a-hole, but it's worth considering that there could be a much deeper reason for why your sister dresses and takes care of herself that way. Reply 1. Yes. This was what I thought also. Sister wants to be loved as a person, not for her body. If OP takes anything away from this thread, I hope it is to ask what is wrong. I strongly believe sister has experienced some sort of trauma. Maybe it's just depression, but all the things OP describes indicate something is wrong with sister. OP is just mad that sister doesn't use her pretty privilege properly. The more I think about it, the more likely it seems that OP was talking about pretty privilege while sister was saying that being pretty wasn't everything. Sister might have been using herself as an example of how pretty privilege doesn't fit sister's experience. Regardless, OP is TA. Something is wrong with her sister, and she's too busy to ask. Instead, she came here to find people to agree with her. Response 6, why TA? You're her older sister. I can tell she's clearly depressed and have low self-esteem. You've never told her. You look beautiful. Or, having a relationship isn't the meaning of life. So you know she's pretty, but you didn't cheer her up or anything? Are you jealous of her? You never taught her how to wear makeup or dress up. Reply 1. Being told you're beautiful by other people isn't going to fix anything. In fact, it might make it worse. The sister needs to work on herself if she wants to feel pretty. Reply 2. Yeah, but this subreddit is about if you're the a-hole, and clearly she is. It's like complaining how your friend doesn't have good grades, but you're not helping them with tutoring. Reply 3. It is going to change a lot, especially if you were feeling down and a member of family is helping you. She's just a teenager, and at that time what people think and say about you is very important to you. Response 7. I'm going to say you're the a-hole on grounds that the correct reply to a complaint about privilege of any kind is not, well, you aren't trying hard enough to conform to the demands of privilege. Though I do agree with your rationale as such, your sister is correct in that the existence of pretty privilege is in fact unfair. Reply 1. There's two sides to the pretty privilege coin. There's clean and attractive privilege. People will treat people who present in a clean, well-dressed, well-cared-for appearance far more kindly than the opposite. God status. These are the inherently beautiful people under clean and attractive standards. They have a genetic gift, and we all stop and go, oh wow. Poverty, mental health, and other factors can prevent some from utilizing clean and attractive privilege. And that does truly suck. But it is true that showering, maintaining a tidy appearance, and wearing clothes that are in good shape and flatter, you will make your life a lot easier if you do it. Reply 2. Pretty privilege isn't about showering, being tidy, and wearing clothes that fit. People expect that of men too. Pretty privilege is about how a woman's apparent beauty or sexual attractiveness determines how other people treat her in every aspect of her life. Response 8. YTA. I was the same when I was her age. You want to know why? I was depressed. Even if she isn't depressed, you shouldn't say crap like that. At least not the way you did. You're 20. You should remember how it was being 17. Reply 1. I remember the time my sister wasn't taking care of herself, and vice versa. I brushed our teeth together. I'll say things like, I bought face masks and a new body scrub. Want to try it first? To help her. She also helped me when I was low too. Response 9. YTA? She didn't say she wanted to be pretty. She was mad about the pretty privilege. The only thing you did with your comment is support that bullcrap. You as a woman should be very well aware of all the sexist discrimination women face. Or maybe you have no idea because you're still so young or take advantage of it. Word of advice, listen to what people are saying, and if you don't understand what they mean, ask them to elaborate instead of assuming. Response 10. I'd say you're the a-hole. She's your younger sister who clearly has some issues with how she feels about herself. There are different ways to communicate the same thing you did. Try being more supportive next time. Response 11. NTA. It's hard to discuss appearance without hurting someone's feelings very easily, especially when someone already feels unattractive. Even when you don't mean to say anything upsetting, sound phrasing can make a difference. You are already pretty, but it's hiding a little. Maybe we can think of ways to help you shine more. Sounds better than, if you're not pretty, it's your own fault for being a slob. Also, she asked, never ask questions you don't want honest answers to. Reply 1. Let us just stop pretending OP said that to her sister to help her. That was not the point, so your rephrasings would have never worked. She was jelly and mad, so she said that because it made her feel good for a little while. Period. Reply 2. There's nothing in the opening post about the sister asking for feedback. Rather, it's described as the sister having a rant about how she was feeling, and OP offered unsolicited and unkind feedback. Also, I love the phrasing you gave. Shame OP didn't use something like that. Response 12. Soft, you're the a-hole. I get where you're coming from here, but maybe your sister's point is that she wishes she didn't have to wear makeup and fitted clothes to be seen as pretty and desirable. Maybe she wears baggy clothes because she's self-conscious about her body. Your response here showed a lack of curiosity about what she was actually experiencing. There are plenty of reasons to feel oppressed by pretty privilege even if you're thin and blonde. Reply 1. This comment needs way more upvotes. OP sounds like an absolutely miserable big sister to have if her response in this scenario is to give her sister crap when she's clearly struggling with something. See, the lack of showering or interest in self-care that should be setting off way more red flags in OP's mind than it is, instead of at least trying to approach the problem empathetically. Response 13. YTA. You sound jealous, it's pretty gross. She is pretty already. She didn't need you destroying the little self-esteem she did have. Response 14, YTA. Your sister turned to you for empathy and understanding. Your response was completely devoid of either. This falls under, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Response 15, YTA. She's a textbook version of depressed and your first critiques are hair and makeup and you leave the fact that she's not taking basic care of herself last. Response 16, definitively, you're the a-hole. You called your sister a slob, said she didn't put in any effort, and do I really need to say that she's your younger sister? You don't treat or talk to people like this, especially her. Response 17, NTA. But you could have expanded on it a bit, but it's not that she's not pretty. In your opinion, she isn't presenting her best self. She needs to shower. That's a no-brainer. Basic hygiene is a must for anyone. And maybe not even style her hair, but make sure it doesn't look like a rat's nest when she goes out. Comb it, put a ponytail, anything but the roll out of bed. Look works. Her clothes are fine if she's comfortable in them. There's nothing worse than being uncomfortable in what you wear. And nobody needs to wear makeup to be pretty. I'm a little surprised that by 17, she hasn't tried to do something about the acne though. That's like a confidence killer for anyone, no matter how naturally pretty they are. So be nice and explain it more for her. Reply 1. Op never said that sister didn't do anything about her acne. She only said that she didn't do what OP recommended. I've been recommended certain things for my acne that I didn't do because my skin type wouldn't handle those products. Reply 2. I don't really see how expanding will go well. If she's upset at you're not pretty because you don't put effort into your appearance, then you're not pretty because you smell bad and have acne will really set her off. Response 18. I'm leaning more to you're the a-hole. Clearly, your sister is struggling with something and that's manifesting in her hygiene and self-care. Be it just some kind of teenage melancholy against attention or bullying or SA or something else, you weren't in a mood to actually listen to what she was trying to communicate, or possibly she was testing the waters to talk about something, so you threw it back at her. I'm sure she's aware of why she isn't pretty and didn't need her big sister listing it all for her. Response 19. I'm going out on a limb and saying no a-holes here. However, I will say it sounds like your sister definitely has mental health issues. The lack of personal hygiene is a definite sign of it. Try to work with her. Tell her if she showers and washes her hair, you will help her style it. Offer to go shopping with her to help her pick out some more flattering clothes. Be a friend as well as a sister. Response 20. Your sister is 17, doesn't shower, has acne, and wears baggy clothes? Have you ever thought maybe she's struggling mentally and that's why she doesn't put any effort into her appearance? You could have phrased your advice better to not make it sound so mean, but that doesn't change the fact you called her a complete slob and sound jealous of her appearance. She's allowed to complain, anyone is allowed to complain. You're the a-hole.